Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Parkside Cabin Rentals. You know that the Ogle family has more great cabins and more great Smoky Mountain locations than anybody else. Well, they know hospitality as well. But look, they've got new cabins they're adding all the time, and they've added some that are just right off the Gatlinburg Strip. Sometimes you want to be away from the Strip. You want to be out there in the quiet part by yourself. Other times, hey, you want to be down there where you can get to the restaurants and everything else. So if you're going to their website, check out Hickory Hideaway. Look for Pine Tree Lodge. Look for the Chestnut Lodge. You can type in a name. You can go through and look at all their listings, but you can type in those names. Those are three that are right near the Gatlinburg Strip. And I'll always remind you, if you're looking to get a place in the Smokies, their weekday prices are fantastic. So you don't have to just do it on the weekends. Look at their weekday prices as well. ParksideCabinRentals.com. All right. Take a look here at the 24/7 latest rankings. This is as of yesterday afternoon. There's probably been some people added last night, but as of yesterday afternoon, Tennessee number 10 in the country in terms of the recruiting rankings. Georgia number 1, Florida number 3, LSU number 8, Tennessee 4th in the SEC. You see the total commitments. They have 15, 4 and 5 stars, the blue chip guys. You got 10 of those already. Looks good, sounds good. Meanwhile, recruiting service On3.com ranked Spire Sports, that's Tennessee's collective, ranked them as the number 1 most ambitious collective in the country this past week. And Spire Sports claims that they have brokered more than $13 million worth of NIL deals already since NIL became legal. So all that sounds tremendous, sounds great. So Josh, why isn't Tennessee better than 10th? You just had a great year. And finishing top 10 is fantastic. Not to be a schmuck, but you just had the big breakthrough year. You got the number 1 collective. Shouldn't you be higher than 10th? Or am I expecting too much of a jump?
You should expect better than 10th by the end of this recruiting cycle. And I would probably say by the end of this month. So if we fast forward to August 2nd and you're running this graphic again and Tennessee is no better than where it is, that probably means this month did not go how Tennessee hopes, because if you looked at all those schools ahead of Tennessee, 8 of the 9 I think had more commitments than Tennessee. Tennessee has about a 66%. That was what the blue chip ratio was. That's pretty good. Most of the players they're hoping to land over the next month are high 4 and some 5-star prospects. That will jump them up. So the players that they have on the board with where they are commitment-wise, I believe should move Tennessee closer to number 5 by the end of this recruiting cycle. But they have a number of guys on the board that are announcing in July before their high school seasons begin, and those guys should be the players that determine which direction Tennessee goes.
And the reality is Tennessee's number 11 right now because Alabama already shoots by everybody later in the game. They're always outside the top 10 right now, and they always wind up in the top 2, 1. So they're going to be up there at some point. Your thoughts on this?
Doesn't Tennessee need to put guys in the NFL before you can expect them to be elite when it comes to recruiting? Like, I always try to reverse engineer this and say, okay, if I was recruiting against Tennessee, what would I say? And I would say Jalen Hyatt just won the Biletnikoff Award, and he was a third-round pick. This system doesn't get you to the NFL. Well, if you can have Hendon Hooker succeed as a quarterback, Jalen Hyatt succeeds with the Giants this year, Cedric Tillman succeeds with the Browns, that goes away, and I think it helps Tennessee tremendously because they do have a really good NIL situation right now. They have a great fan base. They have an exciting offense. Everybody knows the Tennessee brand, especially after the Alabama win and that being on every media.
Kings on national television this
Absolutely.
year,
So the key is put guys into the league. That's the next step, I think, because if I was recruiting against Tennessee, that's the thing I would say they couldn't do.
I'll let you go next.
Will is right. I would, if I'm Tennessee, I would counter with, we just put a bunch of guys in the league that nobody thought were going to get there because you come here, we can do this. I mean, Cedric Tillman, who thought he was going to play in the NFL?
No star, right?
Darnell Wright, although he was a first-round draft pick, and when he first signed, it looked like it. Well, midway through his career, it looked like he was getting kind of bustish. So I think Tennessee can counter that, but in the end, I think that is the argument. Because if you're talking to 4- and 5-star guys, even though they're still in high school, they think they're NFL players. So I think there's a lot to that.
I talked to somebody this week who covers recruiting, and they said that I'm expecting too much. When do I expect too much? But they said you're expecting too much, and it's because, one, Tennessee just recently had this breakthrough. It's fresh. It's new. 2, you got to put players in the NFL. 3, NIL doesn't win everybody. Okay, all true. Why is Florida number 3 on that list? I mean, because Florida doesn't have those things either. But Florida's number 3 on that list, and their NIL made the biggest negative story in the history of NIL this year when they signed a quarterback and then couldn't pay him all they promised him.
Less than a month ago, Florida fans were talking about Billy Napier can't recruit.
Yeah, and then he had a weekend where he got 4 stars, and boom. One of those weekends where Tennessee fans were saying, what are they doing? They're cheating down there. But I just look at it, to me, they're on the right track. You can't complain about a top 10 recruiting ranking. But at the same time, I expected with the NIL, the number 1 in the country in terms of ambition, with the big breakthrough you had last year, I just expected more. Maybe we'll look back at the 1st of August. Maybe I should give it 30 days, and we'll come back and I'll hold you to it. You were wrong, Josh Ward, but that's what I'm going to do.
If Chuck stopped by and prop betted the recruiting
Chuck?
ranking, which again borderline, even though we're starting to blur the lines, I would take. Is it under on 9.5 if I expect him to be better? So somewhere between 5 to 9, I think, is most likely for where because Alabama's going to make a run. Florida probably drops back a little bit, but I think Tennessee will win more of these high-level battles than not in their favor to where they'll be at the end with the ranking.
All right, very good. I'm going to come back. We're going to pick some nits again in this next segment, although this one's hard to pick this nit. Tennessee's basketball schedule is coming into shape. We're seeing more and more of it. It looks spectacular. But I'll tell you what the but is next. Come on back.